Hi, everybody. Welcome to your history class. Hope that you had a great Valentine's Day and that you liked the amount of snow that we got last week. It was really nice. Now, remember that this class is longer than your library class. So we're on week 4 and we're nowhere near your midterm yet, okay? So week 4 of the history class is going to discuss the ancient Rome and the Republic from the empire, okay? And there's going to be some videos that show you about that. But ancient Rome was very, very powerful and very, very important in the development of civilization. And the ancient Romans actually, really developed a lot of different things. For instance, the Roman alphabet, the kind that we use, like A, B, C, D, but a Roman alphabet, okay? And their language, which was Latin. Latin is the basis for all Romance languages. So what do I mean by Romance languages? I mean things like French and Spanish and Italian. All of them have roots that come from Latin, okay? So many times, and also English. When you look at English, many of the words have Latin roots. That's why some schools, even today, it's not as popular any longer, but a lot of schools used to do it in the past, require students to take Latin. So they learn the words in Latin, and then they know when they're doing another language like French or Spanish or Italian or English, where the root of the word came from, and it helps you decide or determine what the word means. Also, Roman numerals, when we see numerals or numbers that say X and an I, excuse me, but if you watch the Super Bowl on Sunday, you see that when they say it's whatever, I don't know, I don't watch football, but Super Bowl, whatever, they put X, V, or XX, VI. Those are Roman numerals. The Romans developed something that was really cool, and we use it sometimes today in houses and maybe like in swimming pools, and that's underfloor heating, and it's called hypercaust. So that when you get out of bed in the morning, some houses can have this, and instead of stepping on the cold floor, the floor is warm. Same thing if that was in your bathroom. Rome was the site where Christianity began, and that's the home of the Catholic Church. And today, Rome is still the home of the Catholic Church, where the Pope resides, okay? There's something called thermopolium, and it means take away. And, if you wanted to try to see what we have today with take away, we could pretty much compare it to like fast food restaurants. You go, you order, you pay, you take your food away. Okay? So that's one of the things that they developed as well. They also developed the Roman calendar with 12 months for the year. And some of the months like July come from Roman emperors. July comes from Julius. Julius comes from the emperor Julius Caesar. August comes from Augustus, okay, from the emperor Augustus. So they developed the calendar as well. They also were very conscious about public health. So they developed aqueducts to bring water to people. And also these aqueducts brought water to the Roman public baths. And that was a way for public health. They also were conscious of infrastructure. Now, you've probably heard about this like crazy on the news. President Biden wants to pass infrastructure bill. We need new infrastructure. What does that mean? That means roads and bridges and tunnels, that sort of thing. So they did great roads. There's still some roads in Rome that were built back in the early days, and aqueducts, as I said, to bring water to areas. Another thing that they were very famous for was the type of architecture they did. So they did things with pillars and columns and arches, and you'll see that later in some of the videos that we have. They also had an established political system. And some of the ideas from the Roman system of government inspired revolutionary ideas, especially like in the American Revolution. We should have the right to vote. We should have a right to say something about our lives. We should not be taxed without representation, meaning someone that we've elected to give our voice to government. Another part of the Roman Empire, and you can see that the Roman Empire really is very structured and very strong, is law and order. And that's the idea of a person being innocent until they are proven guilty. And that's very important. There's also a lot about art and architecture. The writings of some famous Romans are still consulted today. And in architecture, you can see things like mosaics, those little tiles that are set into a wall or into a table that create a picture. Well, that started with the Romans. So Roman murals with mosaics still can be seen today. So let's see what we have for our first video. And I want to just give you the first one. And it's really very quick, and it'll help you remember some of the things. All right. Okay. Now just watch, they're going to talk about the same things I just talked about, and with a picture and the word to help you remember some of the achievements. The alphabet. Here's the underfloor heating, hypocrust. So this is pensions, unemployment benefits, Social Security. that. Remember, we talked a lot about architecture when we did our art class. There's Judge Judy, law and order, innocent until you're proven guilty. And there's the mosaics, the art that's made with the tiny tiles. Okay, so we did see some of the things that, on a quick way, on what the Romans did. Now, ancient Rome learned to adapt and stay in power for over 1,000 years. They were very, very strong. And they started as a small village, and they began to branch out. And they were a small village on Italy's Tiber River. Now, they do some things that we talked about a little bit last week, but when we get there, I'll show you. As Rome expands, it's from the North Atlantic to the Persian Gulf. So why is Rome able to expand so much? Well, just like we learned last week, Rome had a very strong army. Now, remember, last week we talked about strong armies of the Greeks, okay? And that they were able to expand as well. So they also had political strength and organized government that helped them to move on. And that's how they really began to develop the first base of Western civilization. So there are three parts of Roman culture. There's the Republican part. That's the first part. And that was about 509 BC. And that's when Rome adopted a republic type of government where they had elected officials and representatives that were called consuls. And one of the famous people at that time of the forming of the republic was Julius Caesar. The second part that we'll think about, the first part, I'm sorry, I did it wrong. The first part is regal, and that was 753. Rome was ruled by 7 kings. The first was Romulus and his twin brother Remus. Then they went to Republican, in 509 BC. And that's when they adopt the republic type of government where you have elections and representatives, and the representatives are called consuls. And one of the famous ones at that time was the Emperor Julius Caesar. And the third part was the imperial part of Rome. And that developed around 27 BC. And you know, when you're going from BC, the larger the number, the longer time ago, the smaller the number, the closer to present time it is. So the imperial part was the real rise of the Roman Empire, and they had some really famous emperors at that time. They had Octavio and they had Nero, and Nero was supposed to be one of the cruelest emperors that Rome ever had. Now, again, the military is responsible for the strength of the country, and Rome is slowly conquering the lands that are surrounding it. So it conquers Greece and Egypt and Carthagena, and later Britain and Iraq. So it just keeps moving on. Remember, that's sort of what happened with the Greeks as well during their period of time. As the part that we just saw, they were famous for aqueducts, which were able to bring water to areas, sort of like when we have aqueducts that bring water from upstate to New York. They're pipes, a type of pipes. A lot of theirs were higher up, but they would bring water to areas, and thus that would allow people to live in the cities and to farm and have agriculture and develop the Roman baths, which were a public health facility for people. They created a 50,000-mile long road system, pretty advanced. And why is a comprehensive road system important? Well, first of all, you can get things from one place to another more easily. People can travel from one place to another more easily. And in that way, you can expand, you can bring your ideas or your goods to different areas and get things from another area, bring them back to your house. And so we talked about that last week with the Hellenistic Empire of Greece. And remember, they did the second diaspora where the Greek city-states in the area of Greece were getting too overpopulated. And so they started to move into other areas. And because of that, they learned things from trade, they learned different cultures and that sort of thing. Well, that's also starting with Rome. And the Roman language is being spread around as well. And again, their architecture with their columns, like in the Colosseum, those building techniques are also spread around using like a type of cement or concrete so that it's strong. That's being spread throughout the area as well. And one of the biggest changes that takes place at this time is the rise of Christianity, Catholicism. Now, remember, a couple of weeks back, we talked about the rise of Judaism. And one of the things that Judaism taught was to have a belief in one God. Okay. Catholicism also believes in one God. Okay. And the Emperor Constantine I was very influential in spreading Christianity through Rome. He really believed in it. So let's talk a little bit about the rise of Christianity. It starts when Rome begins to decline, the fall of Rome. And one of the reasons why Rome falls is that around the 4th century, the empire starts to decline for certain reasons. One, political corruption. Politicians are stealing things. Things are not good in the government. An economic conflict. Conflict between different classes and levels of people throughout Rome. Okay, and also invasions from people outside of the Roman areas. And after a while, it gets kind of hard to control and contain all of these lands that the Roman Empire has amassed. So slowly around the 4th century, hold on, I have to check about my battery. Let's see. Let's just see if that's going to help. There's a decline of Rome. And there's a lot of chaos. Things are going crazy all over. People don't know what to do. And during this time, Christianity begins to start. And let's see what happens. During Roman rule, some of the Jews were in Judea, and they started to rebel against the Romans. They wanted to follow their religion. They wanted to stay in Jerusalem. They wanted everything done that way. They wanted to have their language. They wanted their religion. They wanted their land all to themselves. They did not want to be conquered by the Romans. There was a terrible uprising. The Jews decide to fight the Romans, but the Romans have this mighty army, and they conquer the Jews. And I mean, it's a terrible war. It's terrible. So many people are killed. There were, of course, some people who wanted to follow the Romans and just live peacefully, but that didn't go on for too long. So the rebellion comes, and then again, there's another rebellion later on, and the Jews rise up against the Romans, and again, they're defeated. About that time, in the second rebellion, a person named Jesus of Nazareth is born and begins to mature and starts to preach. And he is starting to talk about God's love and his forgiveness, okay? And remember, when we saw that video about Judaism, kept saying, in the 10 Commandments, this is like a God who is telling you exactly what to do all the time. Now, the 10 Commandments follow through, of course, in Christianity as well. But the teachings of Jesus Christ are telling people we should be fair to each other. We should be kind to each other. And so he travels through Judea, and he is talking to people in areas, and he's preaching, and he has followers who come with him and also help to spread his word, and they are called the disciples. So those are like his messengers as well. And Jesus's word is to love each other. And that message helps to shape the values of many people in Europe and in America today. And when Jesus is teaching people, he is using stories or parables to express spiritual ideas. He'll talk about a man who was once blind, and he says that the man comes to him and he makes Lazarus, who's the man, see again, or those kind of stories, okay? So in the end, and this is just a brief synopsis of the religious aspect, because I'm not teaching religion. I'm just trying to get you an idea of how Christianity falls into this. Jesus is ultimately crucified, and he rises and joins his Father in heaven. So in the beginning, Christian churches are formed mainly by women, and they're in the homes of these women. And people still pray through the Hebrew Bible, all right? Because the basis of Christianity is Judaism. So things start to change a little bit, though. Christians believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. The Jews believe that a Messiah will come and free everyone from their sin and that sort of thing. Some people were saying that Jesus Christ was the Messiah, but the Jews said, no, he's not. He's a good man, and he's a preacher, okay? And the difference about Christianity as opposed to Judaism is that there are 3 parts. God is made of 3 parts in Christianity, and that is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's not how Judaism works, all right? And so that's called the Holy Trinity. What I'd like to do is share with you a video about, first, something about the rise of Rome, and then one about the rise of Christianity. So let's see how we do about sharing that, okay? Let's see. Okay. Bear with me, okay? I have to get this. Mm.
So let's say you have to read an important
At the bottom is the calcium. Where that black line is, that's the channel where the water goes. privacy. Remember, we did that in the literature class, the lady or the tiger. We talked about when we did our art and architecture. Okay, so now I'm going to see if I can get the video up on the rise of Christianity so that can help you better understand what I was telling you about. That was pretty amazing, though, some of the art and architecture. And I especially like that video, how it compared the Greeks. Everybody looked real pretty. They had great muscles and whatever. And then the Romans said, hey, everybody doesn't look that great. And they depict or show people as they really are. So let's see if I can get us to the screen for Christianity. Hold on. All right, let's see. Oh, let's see if I have that. Mm. Okay, well, I can't find that one, but I'm going to show you another thing about ancient Rome. Oh, I think we did this already. We did this already. So I will just stop sharing and just go over a little bit more about Christianity and why it's important. and that today, as I said, Rome is still the home of, or the seat of, Christianity. So we talked about, that's 2 or 3 weeks ago, the rise of Judaism. Before, different civilizations celebrated or worshipped multi-gods. The Egyptians would do things like the god of the moon or the god of the underworld, and the Greeks had things like that as well. But in Roman time, then later, as things progressed, we talked about the rise of Judaism and how it was a basis of one God, and that then Islam and Christianity spring up through that. And then we see later, after the chaos of the fall of Rome around the 4th century, people are looking for stability. They're looking for something that's going to guide them and keep order. And Christianity comes around, and it's very orderly in its teachings, and it talks about kindness. People began to follow that. And the reason why is Constantine the first was one of the ones that really believed in it and believed it was a good religion for people to follow. Now, again, I am only showing you how religions develop. I'm not teaching religion to you. I'm teaching about how these religions impacted on the lives of people. That's all, okay? So what I want you to know is that we see how these things develop through time, and you will see how things like Christianity, we talked about all of these terrible battles between the Romans and the Jews and how badly the Jews were defeated. But in Christianity, again, you find an awful lot about battles and people trying to overthrow governments and convince people to follow Christianity as well. So that religion is always causing some kind of conflict with people because not everybody believes in the same thing. All right. So next week when we come, we'll talk a little bit. Let me just check my syllabus for a second. Next week's lesson, we're going to start talking about the civilizations of America and Mesoamerica and the people of North America. And we're going to start to see how the Incas and the people in the Andes start to move upwards. And we're going to find out where the first Americans come from. And we're going to take a look at that as well. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed today's lecture. And I look forward to seeing you next week. And have a good week and be safe. Bye.